Hey, welcome to the podcast. This is the first episode. My name is Fruition. I'm keeping my identity concealed for my own personal reasons. I would like to read an excerpt from my first book, which is compiling notes and experiences on paper about extraterrestrials and UAP or UFO encounters. Chapter Introduction. The beginning of this book consists of a basic intro and welcoming of different experiences I have undergone. For mankind as a whole to understand the possible chances of us not being alone in this universe. Many will consider this an opening to leave religion and other belief systems vulnerable. On the contrary, my interpretations are only observational and complementary. To think we are alone in this epically proportional universe would be naive. I have several different viewpoints that may be fact-checked by the science majors. Some may call it science fiction, and others may take my recounts wholeheartedly. Either way, my immediate goals are not to change viewpoints, but to release my valuable intel gathered by me and me alone. I do not affiliate with any organization or agency, but respect on both ends. The probability of government declassified info is neither my concern or anticipation. My objective is to give the public these events in order. Whether or not I find myself a true believer is still a constant battle, but I have come a long way throughout the years and my understandings of these topics have exceeded my expectations. I am only human, so bear with me as I try to understand along the way equally as much as my readers and listeners. There is a lot to cover, and I would like this to be more of a factual documentation as opposed to my fiction works that will be written later in time. I claim it is factual because it is the sequence of common occurrences over many years throughout my life. The themes I will provide the reader will range from UFO/UAP sightings awake and in my dreams, extraterrestrials, time travel, wormholes, and dimensions have their place in this book as well, and podcast. I'm significantly happy to present these different chapters along with one illustration for each section, possibly. Have no fear. There will be more drawings in detail in further body of works. As for now, welcome. Once again, I have slim to no formal science education. I have always had an interest in space travel, earth science, and other areas of expertise out of my qualification. On the other side, I have mastered the art of seeing extremely far away in both time and space. If you ever felt compelled by otherworldly beings or planets, this book may be just for you. Remember, these writings are from my mind, and I find it difficult to explain sometimes in words. My elaborate explanations begin with the first chapter in regards to my first UAP encounter. So readers, as we embark on this journey called life, remember that we all have our own beliefs. The misinterpretation of the meaning behind my words is not for me to decide. So choose how you read this carefully or listen and let your mind wander where it may, correlation or not. The end goal is to express my love for nature, science, religion, and nothing else. The unknown still awaits us, and I can start to understand just as much as you or as time lets us. I will give a rundown on extraterrestrials as well as their planets of origin from which I believe they reside. So, this summarizes the introduction chapter, and I am pleased to start this book off and podcast with a solid explanation of my first UAP encounter. Thank you, readers and listeners. It's not easy talking about this, but I will say I am pleased to finally do this. Starting off with UAP encounters. My first one was in a dream. I was sitting in a car at a grocery store where, undisclosed location, I was a child, and yes, I was asleep when I encountered this UAP. It's parked under some trees. It was nighttime. And then I had an out-of-body experience while I was asleep. Sitting in the car, my body left the vehicle to the back left, a couple, maybe a few dozen yards. And I looked up to the sky and saw a V-shaped UAP approaching. There was no propulsion system, and it had 6 lights underneath of it. I had never seen anything like it. It was the most, one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen as far as aerial spacecraft. As it approached, it came to a complete stop and was stationary. And after a few seconds, a bright white light shone from the top and lit up the night sky. I don't know, maybe less than 100, maybe 50 yards in diameter. After that, I stood in awe in the dream and then woke up. I immediately woke up and went to the location where it had happened and drew a picture mentally. Kind of a sacred experience to me that I felt compelled not to share, but also finally getting to the point where I'm expressing it through a podcast, which is exciting, but also very nerve-wracking. So please feel my anxiety with some ease and some understanding and acceptance, please. If you would like further detail, you can purchase my book titled Specialty. I would really appreciate it. And like and subscribe to my channel. Link in bio. The next UAP experience took place several years, I'd say about 2 or 3 years after this experience. And if my words are contradicting my book, I apologize. I don't have time to read my book word for word, and I literally wrote it like a few days ago. I've kept all this inside my mind and my heart for quite some time, and I'll apologize one more time if I'm contradicting the words in my book. Post it in the comments. Thank you. It would actually help, so please do that. This next experience also has extraterrestrial encounter, my second extraterrestrial encounter. To give a little rewind, When I saw the V-shaped object, prior to that, roughly a week before that, I saw, sorry to confuse you, I saw in a dream two greenish but gray extraterrestrials from the back end walking down a dirt road with my car lights shining on it. I believe that the V-shaped object comes from a planet that is green and black. That is my guess. I believe that these extraterrestrials are green and possibly turn grayish when the night sky moon something. It's just a guess. That's for the V object with 6 lights underneath of it with no guiding light. There was no light at the center front. It was just 3 on one side, 3 on one side. The next UAP experience I had is an overload and abundance of information, so I will try my best to not contradict my book, which is the ultimate test in my opinion. The dream took place a couple years after the V-shaped object dream. Now, the unique thing about this dream is it goes from day to night to day again. I don't know how that's possible. It's the first time I ever really experienced that. So it makes this one very special to me. It took place over one of the homes I used to live in, undisclosed area. I'm not giving locations, dates, coordinates, none of that stuff is necessary. Just giving you the factual information. All that's irrelevant. The UAP I saw in a dream was, first off, a V-shaped hand glider with invisible cloaking device that you could still see through, but still invisible, if that makes sense. There was a large male figure who did not have an oblong-shaped head or large cranium as opposed to the green and gray ones. This one had he was inside of this machine, hand glider, so I couldn't tell the skin color. He was flying this V-shaped machine that resembled a hand glider with his hands propped up against his chest with some sort of handlebar, looking at some screen. And the way he spun around and then came back down was so fluid. I had never seen anything like that in my life. It was a non-propulsion vehicle. But I saw at the bottom of this hand glider, it was similar to pterodactyl wings that were flayed at the end somehow. And every time it exerted every time it exerted movement, like up in the air, propulsion, non-propulsion, I'm not sure. I'm not a rocket scientist. I don't study propulsion systems. I study non-propulsion systems. I have no experience in any rocketry or anything like that. And I don't claim to. Every time the invisible hand glider cloaked machine with the gentleman in front holding the handlebars looking at the screen, every time it lifted up into the sky higher, there were these black lightning bolts, veins, but they weren't veins. They were obviously some sort of fueling system. And you could see the blackness fill up and go towards the bottom of the wings every time it lifted up. And then the blackness would disappear. And every time it flew more, the black lightning bolt fueling system filled up. Whatever element it is, I'm not sure. I can't claim to know that, and I do not study chemistry, earth science, or astrophysics, or any of that stuff. It was nighttime. He did some sort of aerial maneuvering, which was very light and kind of showcasing something as if he was giving like an ode to a memorial of some sort. I then looked to my right, where I used to live, and it became daytime. Off in the distance, maybe a mile or two miles, there was a large, what I call a grandmother ship. I'll go into that in detail later. This was the largest flying object I had ever seen in my life. I say that with conviction. It was circular. The only circular object I've ever seen in a dream. In the center of it was this blue power source, supply, something. And throughout the undercarriage of it, there was a large, intricate maze that led to it. And on either side of the circular object, I'll call it the grandmother ship, there are two clouds obscuring both ends of it. Cumulus clouds, to be specific. I stood in amazement and so intriguing. Then I turned to my right, back on the road, and it went to nighttime again. It was then that I saw a blimp, and on the undercarriage of the blimp, there was a little casket, container, compartment of some sort that housed an extraterrestrial that I believe had passed away in a body of water, fluid, clear fluid, with a yellow light source on the top of that casket container or something. And the body was laying with the extraterrestrial's head towards the back and the feet towards the front. And when the blimp flew by, I followed it. I kind of ran and pointed. I was like, whoa, look. And as the blimp flew by, I saw the body swishing left to right in the fluid, but it was motionless. It did not appear to be alive. That's where I believe the hand glider was giving that memorial flight to, of some sort. And then it veered off to the left, and then it went to daylight again. As it went to daylight, I turned to my right, where there's just a parking lot, pretty average. Got them all over America, all over the world. I looked up in the sky and saw the same hand gliders. Oh, let me rewind a little bit. The extraterrestrial I saw in that undercarriage of the blimp was fairly large. Oh, well over 6.5 feet. 6.5 feet, 7 feet, maybe, give or take. With very long legs. I remember that specifically. He had very, very long legs. He, she, I'm not sure. With a head cranium that went back, but kind of like I could draw it, but I'm just talking about it. After I saw the blimp turn to the left, I looked to my right and daylight happened again. I look up in the sky over the parking lot and maybe 300 feet in the air, I saw the same hand gliders during the day. 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 of them fly pretty quickly. And then a rainbow, a small rainbow, just like a little rainbow, appeared out of nowhere and they disappeared through the rainbow. One disappeared. Boom. One flew over, rainbow, disappeared. Another one flew over, rainbow, gone. And I woke up like usual and drove to the location and drew the picture. I hold that dream so significantly close to my heart. I don't even know how I'm talking about it for the first time. It's exciting. After I drew the picture, I went back home and it's another day. You just got to go to work. It's very unusual, not telling anyone that. And that is my second UAP encounter in a dream. Thank you. And I'd like to start off the next UAP encounter, which I certainly believe came from this same group of individuals, which I call 2, because I'll get into it later. You can read my book. There was a chain of planets, and the communication between those planets is difficult because there's a chain, and to communicate to one and get past the other is very hard. So I have Earth as 1, this second planet as 2, third planet is 3, fourth is 4, fifth is 5th, sixth is 6th, and 7th is 7th. So the grandmother ship, I believe, came from 2's planet, and their colors are blue, purple, and pink, and maybe some white in there too. I feel that my next UAP encounter in a dream came from the same planet. I was asleep one day in an undisclosed location as normal, and just to give a little background, I dream 365 days a year. No matter what. If I have one dream, wake up, oh gosh, nightmare, good dream. Go back to sleep, I dream every single night. Occasionally, I will not have a dream. So that's a lot, and I don't write down any of them. Next up are these arrow-headed morale mushroom shaped, I might be pronouncing that wrong, moral mushrooms. You know, the brown ones that are really rare sometimes. I've seen a few of them. They're pretty cool. But they look exactly like that. In like an arrow shaped. Or spear-headed almost. I was off a major highway and saw these things approaching. And as they approached, it's kind of unusual to say, but for these UAPs and UFO encounters, I just sit back and I'm like, okay, watching them fly, I'm like, that's all right, or that's good. Could have done it better this way. That's just how I am in a dream. I'm just very judgy in a dream. Like, could have, it was all right. The more I do that, the more I get to see. But I'm also very like authentic with it. So it's very genuine responses. As these spearheaded mushroom shaped, they were purple, pink, blue, and white with the same cloaking device that you can see through, but you cannot. Invisible shield something. As they approached, there was a horizontal row of them, and they came in single file unison, which is remarkable. I was standing on the side of the highway, and as they approached, I somehow backed up a little bit, and one flew over, and the pilot looked down. The gentleman inside the spacecraft looked down and kind of like nodded behind him. And behind him, I saw a all black V-shaped, the same thing as the one I saw earlier with the lights underneath of it. But this one didn't have no lights. It was all black. And as it approached, it came to a stopping braking system that was like nothing I'd ever seen. As it approached, it went, this is how the braking system worked for this thing. It goes back, forward, back, forward. Then it came to a complete stop. But I was so judgy. I was like, no, the green and gray ones did it better because they didn't have to do that. They just come to a brake and hover in like midair somehow with no fuel, no exhaust, nothing. This one, I believe, is working on that system. So they're going back, forward, back, forward, stop. After that, I believe I woke up and, knowing me, went to the location in awe. And that was remarkable. Didn't draw anything, didn't draw any pictures because I wanted to conceal that for myself. It's like so like selfish. Like, no, this is mine, but I'm giving it away to you, to my readers and my listeners. So please buy my book, like and subscribe to my channels, link in bio. And comment as much as you can, please. I want to hear everyone's opinion. Send me an email. Send me a postcard, doesn't matter. I want to know what the public thinks. The next UAP, UFO experience that I witnessed, I was awake. Only one of two that I experienced where I actually saw one while awake. I was probably like 15, 16, teenager at my house, in my backyard, with, at the time, one of my best friends. The name undisclosed for our protection and our safety. It was evening time, so the sky had already gone down, and we were sitting out back, completely sober, just hanging out. I say, dude, look. And I pointed up my right finger and looked up. He was like, dude, look. There was a purple, pinkish, small, maybe, 4 feet, orb-like V. I say orb because it didn't have a solid body. It's very orb-like. And it just went silent, though. Flew by and disappeared into the night sky. And I was like, dude, did you see that? Yes. I know. Okay. That's it. So we went about our day. And immediately after that, the next week, the next day, the next month, I kept going out there looking. Is it going to come back? Am I going to see it again? Am I contemplating reality now? This was way before drones were popular. It was certainly not a drone because it was orb-like. And it was purple and pink and disappeared into the night sky like it was nothing, silently. That was my first and only, I'll say, awake. I mean, obviously awake, but there was another one that took place. And this is the last of my UAP, aerial phenomenon, UFO, non-propulsion system experience, where I am a self-taught remote viewer and have been doing this for 5 years, but I've always had a gift for it, if that makes sense. I've done a little hemi-syncing, a little meditative practices, coming home from a hard day's work or just enjoying a midday's, rest, laying down, closing my eyes, trying to see things. And I got really good at it and learned it all by myself. Became exceptionally good at it. A couple years back, I was remote viewing and have achieved another, I won't get too detailed because it's my private knowledge and wisdom. I've achieved another thing from remote viewing, which is very surreal, but it's like I'm somewhere else. I can't explain it. I did that thing, which I've labeled something, but that's in another body of work that I can't disclose to the public. That's for my safety and for possibly helping one day. I was remote viewing one afternoon. And as I was doing that thing, which is beyond remote viewing, something else, I saw this large triangle-shaped flying UAP approach, and it was an optical illusion. And underneath of the triangle, there were 6 lights, and in the back left, it was all black. But the same thing. They put a cumulus cloud in the back left to not let me see it or something. I didn't draw it immediately, but I don't believe there was that blue centerpiece as that grand mothership had in the center that was whitish energy something. These had yellow lights underneath of it, but it was an optical illusion. Like, you look at it and it's like, what? It like almost hurts your brain to look at. I've never seen anything like that. I gasped like, oh, and I snapped out of it. And I felt the energy of this thing. And I never gasped while remote viewing. I've seen a lot and never like anything took my breath. Like I actually like gasped out loud. That's how trained I am, self-taught. After I saw that thing approach and then it stopped midair, there was no back, forward, braking system to make it stop in midair. No, it just came to a complete stop. I gasped, woke up, and immediately drove to the location, undisclosed. That location is dear to my heart. From my childhood and family and friends. I looked up and didn't quite understand how I saw that. But I went back home and that's it. It's kind of what you have to do. You experience something and then it's like, all right, you have to go back to work, normal job. That's fine. Immediately after that, I had dreams of that location. What took place in those dreams? Nothing too extreme. It was all very good, very pleasant. I didn't got no bad energy from it. It was all very unique in the sense that I kept dreaming of that location immediately after. So that's about it for my aerial phenomenon experiences with UAPs. I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be back shortly. Please like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Link in bio. Hey, we're back. The next chapter is planet seeing. I'll read a small excerpt from my book. I would like to start this chapter by expressing I do not have a precise location or constellation where these planets reside, but I do know in my heart that I have uncovered more than I thought I would ever have guessed. I believe there is a chain alignment that is somewhere around 7 planets. I say chain because it's difficult to see past the next planet and may be the same for the rest. The first planet being the most beautiful of them all. This planet is called Earth, and it is obviously the planet from which I was born. I certainly would not choose another planet to call my first home. I will simply title this planet number 1 for identifying purposes. It has an ozone layer and can achieve photosynthesis. Furthermore, the next attached in this chain to Earth is planet number 2. This planet is the most similar to Earth in the sense that it resembles us in having aerial travel, mourning loss of loved ones, blue skies, flying insects, trees, anthropoids, and fruit-bearing vegetation. This is where I believe all the UAPs from the previous chapter came from besides the larger V-shaped object with lights underneath. The black V-shaped UAP without lights came from planet number 2 and contains the correct braking system. Planet number 2 also contains beings that appear to change skin tone from purple to maroon when in the sunlight for a length of time. Similar to us having sunburn if you get out in the sun too long. They are very tall and approximately 6'5" to 7 feet tall. They have elongated heads, and there may be several different types of species on the same planet. They may or may not have a one world religion, but certainly give respect to all of ours. With a great deal of honor, I will not disclose theirs in this book. Next up, I will describe planet number 3 in regards to its importance for fueling interstellar travel. I believe all planets on our chain of 7 go off this planet's decision for space exploration. This planet is totally black and may be concealed from visitors. The male leader of this planet has left, but I will go into this a little bit later. The new leader of this black planet has a peach-colored tone to his skin and sits in a large chair. This chair is extremely difficult to sit in. I remote viewed it for approximately 3 seconds before jumping back to Earth. It had many layers of silver-like cables on the floorboard beneath the chair. To the top left was some sort of circular sphere with what appears to be electrical. Planet number 3 has many different life forms, including a doctor with brown skin and ruby-colored eyes. This doctor was, he was chill. He was cool. He was relaxed. He was like neutral. But he was looking at me while I was laying down, and this was awake too. I had my eyes open, remote viewing, which is very difficult. And he had on a long white doctor's gown, and he had these ruby-colored eyes. And I would say things, and he would just kind of tilt his head if my thoughts were a little bit obscure. He just kind of like tilted his head more and more and kind of looking down at his clipboard. Or so I believe he had a clipboard. I'm not sure. But I believe that these individuals come from that third planet. The previous leader of this planet was Caucasian with blue eyes. He had 2 light sources underneath both eyes and a silver blue metallic bodysuit. He was the one that was sitting in that large chair that controls the third planet. That is black and concealed. I say concealed because you can't like enter into it as if it had an atmosphere. I don't know how to explain that. There's some sort of entrance and the whole planet is like concealed in some black shielding something. I don't know what that is called. That gentleman was very, very wise and taught me many things. Never mind the specifics, but I will say this. I believe he lived a very long time. At the time, he was in control of these large coal mining supervisors that sat in glass containers. Now, I don't have to get into like many details, but these large supervisors sat in these glass containers and they just kind of like watched as these coal railroads were coming in and out of this mountain, somehow getting this unique type of coal. I'm not sure what it was. They are no longer in charge of whatever that thing is called. There is now a new reign with these other entities that have filled the spot that appear to be more friendly than the last. I'll get into that later. But that third planet that housed the leader of that planet, the Caucasian gentleman with blue eyes with the 2 light sources underneath his eyes, he got in his chair, or another separate chair, and flew off to space as like a goodbye, I guess. And this peach tone gentleman with an elongated head has now filled that spot, and he wears a long black gown with his shoes revealed. Yes, when I sat in that chair, it was the most exhilarating thing that I had witnessed while remote viewing while awake with my eyes open, sitting in a chair. It was like these silver-like coils underneath that were stretching all throughout this like area that I don't know where it was very dark. And I tried to hold it as long as possible, and I snapped. I was like, whoa, that was very intense. So to sit in that thing for however long they're doing it, I don't know. That's a task in and of itself that I am not capable of maintaining with my human biology. That's the third planet. That is the planet that, what I believe, manages interstellar travel. Everyone goes through these people. And their life forms on this planet may not be the most glamorous. In my mind, they're very charming, very good looking. To the naked eye, may appear more. I try to watch my terminology. A monster like, not the best, but then they kind of like will like crawl back because they don't look like the same as the other life forms, and it's very dark, and they're not mean. If that makes sense. On that planet, there's a large juggernaut in a metal suit that is somehow stationary in some sort of sand. He's not moving. There's nothing for him to do. And let's say if it awakens, I don't know. If it jumps up or moves, I can't verify that.